In a world with so much direction and opportunity for career paths, it's so easy to feel lost. You feel like you don't know where you're going. To feel like you're the only person in this mindset. And to feel like you have no idea what to do, where to go, or who to talk to. I'm in this kind of position at the moment. Footy season's just finished up. The podcast is starting to get more difficult to find episodes. I've just come out of surgery. I can barely exercise and I feel kind of useless. Everything I try to do is 10 times harder than it needs to be and more difficult. This is the kind of feeling and mindsets that we're going to be talking about in this episode today. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about feeling aimless. And this came about from last night. I got high off my pain meds and I was watching Theo Von and Jordan Peterson talking about the feeling of aimless. And of course, Jordan Peterson, he's this super sophisticated and well-educated person that it's so hard for me to even articulate and repeat back to you guys on how this feeling of aimlessness comes about and how you progress and adverse through this kind of feeling and this mindset. And all of this like evidence and whatnot doesn't come from me. It comes from more educated people. But that's how you become educated. You can't educate yourself on a topic that you don't know about without some sort of source. Yeah, I honestly, like, at this point in time, like, I can't do anything I really want to do except for, I guess, making content and doing this podcast. And even just before, I tried to post a TikTok. By the time this comes out, I will try to post a TikTok on Wednesday, today. And it was just a video of me going through, like, getting my old cast off. And I showed what my finger looked like without the stitches. And it immediately got taken down straight away. Straight away. And even like that, it's another roadblock for me. I'm just trying to bloody make content, and this stupid community guidelines keeps stuffing up what I want to do. And I guess the whole idea of aimlessness is that it all kind of connects to purpose and the idea of having a purpose and committing to that purpose and having an impact, I'd say. And there was a study done in 2021. It found that 35% of people agreed and said that they worked towards their purpose and, I guess, had an impact. 36%. And while 36% said that they did, more than half of the people said that they did not. And so that's 64% of other people, just me trying to do the maths in my head whilst I'm talking, but that other 64% of people said that they did not engage with their life's purpose. And I assume that the people who said that they didn't also haven't come to an idea of what their purpose is. And I think like the idea of having a purpose is kind of overcomplicated. And sometimes it's seemed to be more impactful and meaningful and eventful than it actually needs to be. Sometimes the purpose of having someone in your life and their purpose is to make you laugh, or their purpose is to educate you, or their purpose is to keep you humble, or their purpose is to push you, or their purpose is to be a roadblock in your life and to be someone to navigate away from. I actually watched Inception the other day, and it was pretty funny. I was just driving like through my local area, getting back from the hospital from my scans, and because in Inception, not to ruin the plot or whatnot, but it's all about dreams and the people in the dreams, when they figure out that they're in a dream, the people around them start to stare at them. And I was driving home, and all of a sudden it was like so weird. There was like 4 instances where a group of like 5 people would just stare at me, and I'd drive past and I'd look at my rear view mirror, and then they'd still be staring at me. And I'm just like, fuck, is this movie real? Like, am I in a dream? Like, this is so weird how people are just staring at me. I actually don't know what my connection from that story was meant to be. I had it in my head before, but then I just kept talking about it, and I don't know, that was just the biggest yap fest ever. But like with purposes, sometimes your purpose doesn't need to be as, full on as a lot of people make it out to be. Sometimes your purpose doesn't need to be to fucking cure cancer or to like solve some big secret or some big conspiracy that everyone's been thinking about, or to be the next greatest thing to ever exist. Sometimes you just need to be there to make other people happy, or to be the guy that makes people laugh. And I think, like, obviously once you can realize and, come to the idea earlier in life, like the earlier you figure out what your purpose in life can be, I think the better off you are later on. And there was a study done that showed that people with a strong sense of purpose earlier on in life had a 15% lower risk of death. And this is even accounting for wealth, age, and ideal health. And I actually had to experience this myself, but I thought that my purpose was to be this super health conscious health freak. Like in year 11, year 12, I was extremely dialed in with my nutrition and my training and whatnot, and I was very educated on it. And I thought that was my whole thing. I just need to be super into my fitness. I need to just keep healthy all the time. And that's when I really started posting a lot of workout videos. And that was earlier on when I started doing this podcast. But it kind of made me realize, yes, you can have a purpose in life, but you don't need to make that take over all the enjoyment that you take from things. Like, I was training for a half marathon during year 12, and it was good for me to do a couple sober nights, but then again, sometimes I was like, okay, I'm bloody 4 months out from a half marathon. I think I can have a drink tonight. But I was just so caught up in the idea of having to be dialed in. And this is when all the bloody locked in trends and whatnot was going about, and all those David Goggin highlights and reels. And I just realized recently that sometimes you can have a purpose, but you don't need to make that your entire life and dedicate your entire life to that, unless that's your goal. My goal was to just be a super health conscious person, but then also being healthy is to not restrict yourself and have that mental fatigue of not being able to do something that you want to do. Sometimes I want to go out and have a couple drinks with my mates for no apparent reason, for just a couple casual drinks. I've come to realize that sometimes when you just have a random night where, I'll give an example. I was down at the beach doing landscaping work with my best mate from primary school, who I see him maybe 4 or 5 times throughout the year, because he's so busy with work, and whenever I'm free, he's busy. Whenever he's free, I'm always busy doing something. And so we got this job together where we just did landscaping work for someone that we both knew personally. And one night we're both just sitting on the couch and we're like, fuck, should we just go get a beer? And so then we just walked down to the beach main street in Sorrento, and we just got 2 pints and we just sat there and we chatted for genuinely 2.5 hours straight. And it was an amazing night for both of us. Not eventful, but I think a core memory that we both have just from nothing. there wasn't really much going on. It wasn't a party or anything. We just went to a local pub in that area and just got a beer or two or three and just sat there and had a chat for a while. And going back to that purpose of mine of being a complete health freak, sometimes you don't need to make that your whole identity, because then you honestly can lose valuable parts in your life and learning opportunities from restricting yourself of any enjoyment. Like, let's be honest, having a couple drinks is actually fun. Like, sometimes it's even better than just getting absolutely shit-faced and feeling shit in the morning. Sometimes having a few drinks and having a great yarn with your mate is a better feeling than getting absolutely rinsed. There's actually this really good quote that I got from one of these videos, and it says, "Those that have a why to live can bear almost any how. People who have no why face any struggle and it feels completely unbearable. People who have a why can go through small struggles and big struggles and still have that goal in mind and push through anything." That to me is bloody powerful. And I think a lot of the time when we try to commit to something, we fear the unknown. And there's a really, like, if you want to listen to something that's really powerful and that can change your mindset on, I guess, like different ways of thinking, listen to the Chris Williamson podcast with Jimmy Carr on Modern Wisdom. Jimmy Carr, I literally have this written on my whiteboard because it changed the way I think about mental health a lot and how I think about depression and anxiety. Jimmy Carr, he said in this, or he got it from someone, but he said in this episode, he said, "Depression is about the past and anxiety is about the future." And then I filled out the rest. If you learn to stay present and enjoy the moment, you give yourself the ability to be happy no matter what the circumstance is. And that, for me, that hit the nail on the fucking head. Once I heard that, I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. Like, I have no reason to not be happy because I'm the only one that's in control of how I feel. Once you realize that you can control your mind and you control your behaviors and how you feel, it actually just changes how you perceive things so much. And it's so weird to try and think about, like, you control yourself. Because a lot of the time, a lot of people in society, like, they can't control how they behave because they're so impacted by things around them. And once I realized that, I was just like, I was trying to sleep in bed because I listen to podcasts when I sleep. And so I heard this little passage and I was just like, I was about to try and fall asleep and I just opened my eyes and I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. I literally stopped it, turned my lights on and just wrote it on my whiteboard straight away and then went back to sleep. I think a lot of people that do anything that requires effort and requires a goal to be set and to be reached and to be worked to can understand that the idea of being aimless is probably the biggest venom towards your own, I guess, health. And feeling aimless, it's not just a mood, it's a behavior that impacts your mental health, your physical health, your social health, and how you perceive things, honestly. And for me, like, how I'm feeling at this moment when I'm doing any sort of work with anything, like how I'm just feeling at this time of my life, a big reason why I feel aimless is because there's too many options. And like, it actually just leaves me feeling paralyzed because there's this huge bloody area of just greyness where I don't know, like, I've got 2 more years left in my degree of uni after my exams this year. I've got this podcast going. I'm trying to figure out how to get it going. I've got footy doesn't really count, I'd say, because it's not a career path for me. I've got work, and then I'm thinking about like going into work after uni. I've got no fucking idea what I want to do because I don't want to be a physio. That doesn't interest me anymore. I've been thinking about doing PT. I think I'd be good at being a PT. But then again, if I'm going to be doing PT, I want to scale. I want to have my own business, and getting through those rough years, I don't want to lose like those years of having fun. But then again, I don't think I will. Like that's what I mean. Like this kind of whirlpool and fucking loop of ideas and thoughts that I'm literally saying out loud right now. It's just an endless cycle of me going in circles, just saying the same shit to myself and not coming to a decision. Like there's so many ideas and choices to make that put you into this fucked idea and mindset to be in that I don't wish on anyone, because it is so brain rattling and brain rotting. Just think and listening to myself just talk like this. And on the topic of how aimlessness occurs, I'll go through each idea and each thing that causes this feeling, and then I'll further explain them. The second one, after too many choices, is social comparison. And I think a lot of people struggle with this now. With social media, just social media, honestly, people are so comparative to each other. Who's got the better post? Who looks better? Who's got more followers? Who gets more likes? Who gets more engagement? Like all this stuff with social media is just causing people to compare. And comparison is the thief of joy. It literally just causes you to hate yourself because you think you need to look better. You think you need to be skinnier. You need to be more muscly. You need to be fitter. This guy ran a marathon. Fuck, I'm going to do an ultra marathon next week because I need to just run further than this bloke. I need to know that I'm doing better than someone. All these constant highlight reels online make us believe that we're failing and that we're falling behind everyone else because there's one person out of 8 billion that has done something better than you, where you could have done something better than everyone else in the world but that one person, and it makes you feel like shit. The next one I'd say is having identity crisis. A lot of people just they compare how they were when they were younger, years back, no matter what field it might have been in, and they compare themselves to how they are now, or they want to compare themselves now to where they should be or where they could be, and instead of acting on it, they keep having this identity crisis. And then the last one is avoidance of fear, of being scared. I actually saw this good reel just before, and actually G'd me up before I did this, and it was just this guy with a beard, and I've seen him on my For You page every now and then. I don't know who he is, but if you can figure out who he is, comment it below. But he just says, square the fuck up. He's like, square up to fear, like face it. And like that just G'd me up, and I was like, fuck, I've been scared of doing this episode for a bit. Like, let me just do it straight away. Let me just get it done. And he said, fear isn't inch deep. Sorry. He said, fear is an inch deep, but 6 feet wide. So it might seem scary, but once you're in it, it's not that bad. And that just that G'd me up to do this straight away. And so, coming into the end of this, I want to give you guys some practical tools that you can use when it comes to, I guess, like navigating against aimlessness, which I'm in at the moment, and I'm using these to try and, I guess, get out of this fucking grey area. First one is having values over your goals. So sometimes you have a goal that you want to reach, and there's obstacles that come in between that will test who you are as a person and what you want to be known for. Say my example, running a half marathon. I had an 18th the night before, 2 nights before the half marathon, and I could have gone to that and I could have stayed home. I had two options, and my values were, if I have especially a fitness goal, if I have a fitness goal that I'm committing to it 100%. I'm going full pelt. I'm not half-assing it because I want to do the best I can and I want to see where I can improve. Because what if I went to that party and then I didn't end up running around 4-minute 37k pace, which is fairly quick for a half marathon. What if I went to that party and I ended up running 5:30 pace? Would I be happier with myself? Would I be content with how I did? Or would I be like, fuck, this has pissed me off. I should not have gone there. I think the next one to do is have micro experiments and include new habits into your life. So if you really want to get into depth about habits, read Atomic Habits. It's a fucking great book. I've just almost finished it now. It's really good for developing new skills and committing to it and understanding what goes into developing new habits and being a better person, self-development and whatnot. And so try new habits, try new things, try things that you didn't think that you would enjoy, because you'd be bloody surprised at what you actually are into. Because a lot of the time, like in high school, you get looked at weird for liking Pokemon cards, or fucking you like shuffling a deck of cards, which I actually enjoy doing, which sounds weird because it's not like I'm into Magic, but I'm interested in shuffling a deck of cards in different ways. It sounds weird but it's what I'm into. And like that's what I mean. Like, you'll find stuff that you're interested in that you wouldn't have thought of because you would have been scared of judgment or feared judgment when you were in high school or whatnot. And I guess the last one is to embrace this shit. Be in this shit feeling. Being aimlessness fucking sucks because you just feel so useless. Like, I feel so useless at the moment. And so understand that you're in this feeling, and then just calm down. Think of what you can do to change it, and then act on it. Don't think, oh, okay, that's a good idea. I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, yeah, it'd be good to eat a good meal. Like, don't do something shit twice. Don't do that shit twice. I always do that whenever I'm trying to start a new diet. If I eat something shit, I'm not going to eat something shit again. You can do it once, but don't do it again. Just do something good after that. And that comes to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys related to this topic. I hope you guys also got something away from this. And I hope you guys all really enjoyed this episode.